Hi guys, welcome to Derive. So in this video, we're going to discuss the hexagon of trigonometry. But before that, I want you to remember the 6 basic trigonometric functions list down on your notes. But I guess that's not difficult because we all memorize that and remember that. But how about our teachers ask us to derive more combination of these functions? Not only 6 of course, but there's more. So I think we can do that, but it will take more time. So that's the purpose of this simple hexagon. So to help us to list and create more formulas out of the 6 trigonometric functions. So our teachers way back our high school and college days did not discuss this. But today we're going to learn more on this simple hexagon of trigonometry. So I will explain what's the step in this hexagon. But I already draw a hexagon, and hexagon is basically a polygon that has 6 sides. Obviously, why is it hexagon? Because the 6 sides represents the 6 basic trigonometric functions. So here's the step, guys. So number 1, of course, draw the hexagon. So na-drawing ko na. Second is join its opposite vertices. So napag-connect ko na rin, and I created diagonals, of course, and we're going to start with this never-ending tangent is equal to sine over cosine. So our product here of our steps will be our permanent drawing until the end of our derivation of formulas out of the trigonometric functions. So again, we're going to start with this tangent is equal to sine over cosine. So just put tangent on this point, on this first vertices, of course with a clockwise approach. Just put the sine here and just put the cosine here. So what's next? So the next is that the next function here is the reciprocal of tangent, kasi katapat niya to. So we're going to have cotangent, which is the reciprocal of the tangent. So ano namang sunod na function dito? Sabi ko nga kanina, our product here will be our permanent drawing until the end. So ang matitira ditong dalawa is, ano ba ang reciprocal ng sine? Of course, the cosecant. And the remaining is the secant out of the 6 functions. And of course, that was the reciprocal of cosine. And in order for us to remember this drawing, and of course the sequence of the function, just take the half of it and remember the 3 c's are in the right side. Of course, that was the cosine, cotangent, and cosecant. So wala ka ng problema sa order kasi sinimulan mo nga sa tangent is equal to sine over cosine, reciprocal ng tangent which is cotangent, and reciprocal ng sine which is cosecant. Again, the right side is are composed of the 3 c's. Ibig sabihin sa letter C na function lahat nagsisimula itong right side. And of course, the remaining here is the secant, the tangent, and the sine. Okay, as you can see, na-prove na natin ang isang trick out of this hexagon, and that was the reciprocals. So ano na yun? So umpisa natin sa sine. Ibig sabihin daw kung ano yung ikinonect mong diagonal niya kanina at kung sino yung katapat niya ngayon using your diagonal, ibig sabihin siya pala yung reciprocal mo. And that was sine is equal to 1 over cosecant, correct? Of course, the reciprocal of cosecant is your 1 over sine. Proceed tayo sa cosine. So of course, ang katapat niya kanina is the secant. Of course, that was cosine is equal to 1 over secant. And secant is your 1 over cosine. And lastly, your tangent, of course, katapat niya kanina is your cotangent, reciprocal of tangent. And the reciprocal of cotangent is 1 over tangent. So there you have it. We already created the first trick out of this hexagon, and that is the reciprocal of each function. So sino daw yung katapat niya using their diagonal, yun yung reciprocal niya. So we already derived a 3-6 formula using the trigonometric function. So, ang iba naman sa atin, alam na ito. So, this is basic. So, next naman tayo. So, our next trick will be, we're going to pick 3 consecutive functions. So, sampulan natin sa tangent. Of course, consecutive next, the consecutive function is the sine and cosine. So, pick 3 consecutive functions out of the drawing, and that will be our first pick is the tangent, sine, and the cosine function. So, the trick here is that the ratio of the second and third function is your first function. Of course, the never-ending formula of tangent is equal to sine over cosine. Pick another 3 consecutive, that was the sine, cosine, cotangent. So, sine, sa sine, cosine, cotangent naman, ibig sabihin, ang ratio daw ng second mo and the third function is your first function. So, tingnan nga natin. Sine is equal to cosine over cotangent. So, we're going to prove this if this is true. Cosine over cosine over sine. So, of course, it will be go to the top, and that's it. Sine is equal to sine. Okay. Ibig sabihin, tama pala yung trick. Sine, cosine, cotangent, and the ratio of the second and the third function will be your first function if you pick the 3 consecutive functions. So, dalawa na tayo. So, meron na tayong ganito at meron na tayong ganito. Okay? So, proceed tayo sa red ink again. So, tapos na tayo sa tangent and the sine as your first function. So, pick again another 3 consecutive functions, and that will be cosine, cotangent, and cosecant. So, your 3 letter C's on the right side. So, ibig sabihin ulit, the ratio of your second and third function will be the first function. So, ang first function daw ang ratio mo ng second and third function. So, prove nga natin kung tama. So, cotangent is your cosine over sine, and of course, cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So, that will be sine. So, ayun, cancel mo lang si sine. So, of course, this will be correct. Cosine is equal to cotangent over cosecant. Of course, punta tayo sa right side in order for us to have more space. Guys, each trick that we're going to derive, just screenshot it for you to have record, or just take down notes. Always remember that note takers are the history makers. So, lagi tayong magti-take down notes. So, nakatatlo na tayo. Proceed tayo sa cotangent. Pick again 3 consecutive functions. I forgot to tell that in a clockwise approach. So, clockwise approach. So, cotangent, cosecant, and what you call secant. So, the ratio, your first function is the ratio of the second and the third. That will be cosecant over secant. So, the going to prove this if this is correct. So, your cosecant is 1 over sine, and your secant is cosine, of course. So, yeah, your cosine over sine is cotangent. So, meaning this formula is correct. So, ayan, nakakarami na tayo, guys. So, how about this cosecant? So, pick 3 consecutive functions again in clockwise approach. Cosecant, secant, tangent. Alright. So, you have cosecant is equal to secant over tangent, which is 1 over cosine for the secant, and tangent is equal to what about this, sine over cosine, kasi yung tangent mo pinalalim mo dun. So that will be alright, cancel si cosine. So, 1 over sine matitira, which is your cosecant. Ibig sabihin, tama ulit itong panglima nating formula. And lastly, of course, yung second, yung remaining, pick 3 consecutive. Ang katabi ng second is tangent and sine in clockwise approach. Oh, sorry. Right. So, second daw is the ratio of the first, or rather the second and third consecutive number. So we're going to prove this if this is correct. So tangent mo is sine over cosine times 1 over sine. Of course, cancel si sine, and 1 over cosine is your second. So this formula is correct. So ayan guys, pinapakita na sa tatlong magkakasunod na functions on this drawing in a clockwise approach, makaka-create tayo ng formulas kagaya nito. Tangent is equal to sine over cosine, sine is equal to cosine over cotangent, cosine is equal to cotangent over cosecant, cotangent is equal to cosecant over secant, cosecant is equal to secant over tangent, and secant is equal to tangent over sine. And hindi lamang siya basta trick, kundi pinrove din natin na tama yung mga formulas na yan. Further, these formulas are created from the clockwise approach. How about sir, the counterclockwise approach? So yes, makaka-create din tayo ng 6 formulas out of that counterclockwise approach, pero kayo na mag-try nun, which is makikita nyo na tama. Gagayahin nyo lang yung ginawa ko kanina, na prove nyo lang isa-isa. So ayan, marami na tayong na-create na formulas out of that Hexagon of Trigonometry. So malaking tulong sa atin ito, no? So, proceed naman tayo sa susunod na trick. So, nabilang mo na ba kung gaano karami ang na-derive mo ng formula? So, proceed tayo sa next trick. I'm going to erase lang guys. Pero hindi ko na i-erase yung mga vertices kasi nga, as I said earlier, kung ano yung nasimula nating drawing, that will be our permanent drawing until the end. So hindi kasi ako pwede mag-erase ng canvas kasi mai-erase lahat ng sulat. Okay, so let us proceed on the next trick. So punta naman tayo sa complementary angles. So we already derived the reciprocal earlier in the 3 consecutive functions. Tapos kapag ni-ratio mo yung second and third function out of your 3 pick, so ang sagot doon is your first pick mo, or rather your first trigonometric approach mo. Okay, so how about our third trick? So mamaya na pala si complementary angles, may nakalimutan akong isingit. So again, pick naman tayo uli ng 3 consecutive functions uli. But this time, we're going to multiply the first and the third function out of our 3 picks, and ang result nun is your second function. How about that? We're going to try that. So again, in a clockwise approach, going to start again on tangent, sine, cosine. So ang sabi ko kanina, the product of your first and third function out of your 3 picks will be your second. Patunayan natin. Tangent daw times cosine is equal to sine. So that's another formula. So we're going to prove this if this is correct. So sine over cosine, which is your tangent, times cosine. So anong makakancel? Cosine and cosine, so that will be your sine, meaning our first formula is correct. So I'm going to put numbers na para mas ma-highlight yung mga formulas. Okay, so may isa na agad tayo uli na na-derive na formula. Okay, so pick again 3 consecutive functions kagaya ng kanina. So of course, sunod natin yung sine, cosine, cotangent. Guys, in order to maximize the number of formulas that you're going to create, just start after after ng function. So, halimbawa, kung nagsimula ka sa tangent, sa peak mo, so peak ka naman ulit sa sine, and cosine, and so forth and so on. So, sine naman tayo, of course, the three consecutive functions is the sine, cosine, and cotangent. Again, the product of the first and third function will be your second function. Ang sabi, sine times cotangent daw is equal to cosine. So, we're going to prove this if it is true. Sine times what's the cotangent? That was cosine over sine. So, of course, cancel ang sine. That will be cosine. So, meaning, the sine times cotangent that we derive is equal to cosine. So, another correct derived formula. So, next naman tayo, guys. So, sine yung kanina umpisa, ngayon naman cosine. I'm going to put that here. That. So, pick consecutive three functions again. Cosine, cotangent, and cosecant. So, ang first and third function daw, pag binag-multiply mo, ang product is yung second. So, we're going to see if this is true. Cosine times cosecant is equal to cotangent daw. Eh, ano ba yung cosecant natin? The reciprocal of that is 1 over sine. So, cosine over sine is cotangent. Therefore, the above formula is correct. Okay, nakatatlo na agad tayo para sa approach na ito. So, I'm going to erase this. I'm just going to erase this para malinis ang ating right side board. And guys, kada trick natin mag-screenshot kayo o kaya mag-take down notes. Again, note takers are history makers. Remember that. Okay, kanina galing tayong cosine. Proceed naman tayo sa cotangent. Pick 3 consecutive again. Cotangent, cosecant, and secant. So, the product daw of first and third will be your second. Tingnan natin if cotangent multiplied by secant is equal to cosecant. We're going to prove this. So, what is cotangent? It is your cosine over sine times secant. What is your secant? Of course, 1 over cosine. And of course, cancels mo daw si cosine and cosine. Titira mo is 1 over sine, which is equal to cosecant. Proving that, again, this formula out of your peak of 3 consecutive functions is true. So, cancel mo lang si cosine dito. 1 over sine is equal to cosecant, meaning cotangent multiplied by secant is equal to cosecant. So, okay, we're going to proceed to the next peak. Tapos na tayo sa cotangent, last 2, cosecant naman. Cosecant, secant, and tangent. So, multiply mo ulit yung first and third function out of your peak. Rather, tangent is equal to secant daw. So, prove natin ulit. Cosecant mo is 1 over sine. Guys, wag malito sa x. That is not your angle, but is a sign for multiplication. I choose not to put angle anymore for us to shorten our videos. So, that's a lot of writing, you know. So, how about the tangent? That will be sine over cosine. So, cancel mo lang si sine over sine. There you have it. 1 over cosine, of course, is equal to secant, which prove this formula. Cosecant multiplied by tangent is equal to secant. Of course, last for our last function for our clockwise approach, meron tayong secant, tama ba? Secant, tangent, sine. So, if we're going to multiply daw the first and third, our result will be second again. Of course, second daw is secant times sine is equal to tangent. We're going to prove this. What is your second? Of course, 1 over cosine times sine. There you have it. Sine over cosine is equal to tangent, making this formula second multiplied by sine is equal to tangent. And yun guys, out of this trick that we've been through, pumili tayo ng tatlong magkakasunod na function, and the product daw ng first and third is your second function. So nagpatotoo na tama yung trick na yun by proving these 6 formulas. How about sir, kung tama sila sa clockwise approach, how about sir the counterclockwise approach? Of course guys, tama din yun. So just take a try on that and prove nyo yun isa-isa, at magka-come up pa kayo uli sa 6 na formulas. So as far as I concern, hindi ko na matandaan din kung nakailang formulas na tayo kasi hindi ko na pinapakita yung sa counterclockwise approach, but I ensure you that the counterclockwise approach will be the same on the clockwise approach. Syempre may iba lang ng konti ang formulas, pero tama yun, just prove it one by one. Okay, so proceed tayo sa next trick. So burahin ko lang ulit guys. Nakapag screenshot na ba kayo? Kapag hindi pa, ulit mo. Syempre dagdag views ko yun. Hindi, joke lang. Alright. Okay. So mamaya natin burahin yung right side in order for us not to waste any time. Okay, I think we have enough derivation for the functions. Ang next naman natin is the complementary angle. So how about that one? So burahin ko lang ito. So how about complementary angles? We all know that the sum of two angles is complementary if the sum is 90 degrees. Okay, complementary angle. So complementary daw siya kapag ang sum niya is, kunyari may theta 1 ka, ayoko ng pangit na sulat, although pangit yung iba kong sulat. Your theta 1 plus theta 2 is 90 degrees daw. So anong connection niya dito sa hexagon of trigonometry? So tignan natin muna dito. So hindi muna tayo mag counterclockwise approach or clockwise approach. Let us give this as a sample. So ang katapat ng sine mo horizontally is cosine. Ang theta raw, ang sine daw ng theta, ngayon naglagay na ng theta kasi angle na yung pinag-uusapan natin, is the cosine of its complementary. So dito nakapag-derive ulit tayo ng another formulas for the complementary angle. So let us take a look. So kung ang theta mo is 30 degrees, so you have sine 30 is equal to cosine 90 minus 30. So that was cosine 60 degrees. So sine 30 is 0.5. Ang cosine 60 mo, just type it on your calculator, and if you memorize this, cosine 60 of course is 0.5. Proving that this is true. Okay, so next naman tayo. Sa tangent naman tayo. Ano ba ang katapat niya horizontally? So that was your cotangent. So tangent theta is of course your cotangent 90 minus theta. And of course lastly your secant theta is cosecant 90 minus theta. Ibig sabihin ang complementary angle mo, ang secant ng theta mo is the cosecant of its complementary. So ayun guys, nakaderive tayo ng 3 formulas out of this. Sir, kagaya kanina kapag sabi mo counterclockwise approach will be the same on our clockwise approach, how about this horizontal? Kapag ba papunta naman tayong left, ay tama din. Of course, yes. So, just give it a try. Kapag binalik natin yan, of course, your cosine theta is sine 90 minus theta. Pabalik naman ito. Of course, cotangent theta is equal to tangent 90 minus theta, and pabalik ka naman dito, cosecant theta is equal to tangent rather secant 90 minus theta. Just give it a try on your calculator and I ensure you that this is all correct. Okay, nakapag-derive na naman tayo ng 6 na set of formulas for the complementary angles. And let us proceed for our last trick. So I'm going to erase lang to, guys. Okay, screenshot mo ba? So wag mo lang basta isinzone, guys. Oo, magsulat ka din. At wag lang basta tandaan. Mas mahalaga pa rin yung nagsusulat habang nakikinig, habang tinatandaan. Wag mo lang isinzone kasi masakit masinzone. Alam niyo naman yun. Joke lang. So, enough of the angle. So, we're going to proceed naman with the identity. So, sir, paano naman yung identity? So, out of this hexagon, pick 3 triangles. So, what are those triangles? Piliin natin ito, ito, at ito. So, sir, anong meron dyan? So, we're going to use again the clockwise approach. Ayoko ng broken drawing. So, paano yan? So, babasahin lang natin as from sine, papuntang cosine, papunta rito. So, the last trick will be going to just put number 1 at the center. So, bakit? Makikita natin. And because it is identity, and it with clockwise approach, we're going to read by sine to cosine to 1, and that will be sine squared plus, papunta tayong cosine squared is equal to 1 squared. And of course, that will be sine squared plus cosine squared is equal to 1. And that is an identity that we all familiar with. Okay. So yun, may na-derive na tayong identities at madaling tandaan using the hexagon of trigonometry. Okay, saan naman tayo susunod? Sa itong triangle na to. So with the clockwise approach again, I'm going to use the red. So tangent papuntang 1, papuntang secant, of course, using square, tangent square plus 1 square is equal to secant square. So that will be tangent square plus 1 is equal to secant square. So ibig sabihin, mayroon tayong uli na prove na or na-create na formula out of this hexagon. And this tangent squared plus 1 is equal to secant squared. We are all familiar in this. Okay, so our last triangle will be this one. So of course, clockwise approach from 1 to cotangent to cosecant. So 1 squared plus cotangent squared is equal to cosecant squared. Of course, you have 1 plus cotangent squared is equal to cosecant squared, which is, alam natin tama din that these identities are derived from a Pythagorean triangle na gagawa natin ng buod na video. So ayun, guys, naka-create na tayo uli at natandaan natin ang trigonometric identities using this hexagon of trigonometry. Okay, so ayun, guys, dapat nag-screenshot kayo and nag-take down notes kayo again, because ng mga nagte-take ng notes, yan yung mga note takers are history makers, ika nga. So ayun guys, that was the Hexagon of Trigonometry, and I don't know if we miss any trick for us. So in order for us to remember more about trigo functions and identities, kailangan aralin talaga natin to o tandaan itong hexagon na to. Pero as you can see, madali naman siyang gawin. Just follow step by step procedure, and ayun, I hope you learn guys, share knowledge, and thanks for listening. Please subscribe ka na sa aking channel. I will put the link on my FB page. Of course, don't forget to share this. Thank you again guys, and see you again. I'm Engineer HB. Let us learn and let us derive. Thank you, bye bye, and God bless.